Story 1: How much more they notice. My wife notices a statue being out of place on the mantle after dusting and will fix it. I have no idea that we had a statue on the mantle or that we have a mantle. Story 2: The difference in expectations between when they are your friend and when you are dating is that you have to be a lot more present and situationally aware. You can have knowledge of this, but having practical experience is priceless. When a woman says her love language is touch, it means constant and ongoing. I make it clear now that mine is definitely not, so no one is offended when I'm quickly overwhelmed and move to extract myself. You have to stand your ground and maintain your boundaries. It's healthy to do so. Just because your significant other wants something or wants you to do something doesn't mean you have to jump to do it if you're not comfortable. Gender roles, race, and culture are always present. Story 3: How much they have to worry about their periods. I knew women have periods every month, but it would be just passing knowledge. For women, periods are on their mind for at least 2 to 3 weeks every month. They need to prepare for it, plan their trips, events, and work schedule around it, buy all the products needed including junk food, and actually go through the physical and mental pain. It's another headache on top of monthly bills. Story 4: They, in fact, do not want their insides destroyed during intercourse. But I'll go back even further to when I was a kid. I used to think that a woman's period was her having a small baby the size of a turd. If they wanted to keep it, they'd just retrieve it from the toilet and keep it. Otherwise, they'd flush it down. Story 5: 95% of these are common problems in all relationships. Sometimes I say she in regard to a problem, but it could be replaced by he, depending on the couple. They are either hot or cold all the time, physically. The best move on a cold car ride is to have them wear a coat and you wear a t-shirt because she's going to want that heat up high and you're going to roast if you're dressed identically. Sometimes, in bed, they are just smoking hot, not talking sexually. My girlfriend and I love to cuddle, but sometimes I have to politely tell her not to touch me because she's a furnace. Many times, when you have to be somewhere by a specific time, one of you is going to be late. Most of the time in my life, it's been my girlfriend or wife. You have to learn to work around that. Oddly enough, now it's me, as my current significant other is a stickler for time. And she's right. I'm dragging my feet. Sometimes, someone is going to beat a conversational topic to death. My girlfriend and I came up with a word, rutabaga, which means, I get what you're saying, but you've said it 14 times or we've discussed it before and I've heard enough. This isn't to say you shouldn't work things out, but sometimes things that are already resolved come back up. If I talk endlessly about my round of golf, I get rutabaga'd. Also, women get hormonal at certain times of the month. You can't win at this time because you'll think logically, and there is no logic. Their hormones are at war with their sanity. At some point, discuss when their cycles are and ask if there is a time at which they get hormonally unpredictable. 10 days after my period, or whatever, track that. And when she suddenly goes crazy or becomes illogical, take a peek at that calendar. If you're in the danger zone, ask her if she wants to cuddle or for you to fetch chocolate or ice cream. I'm totally serious. And it's not her fault. At some point, person A is going to be neater than person B, and there will be fights. Make a plan. Talk that issue out. It's not if it happens, it's when. Dishes in the sink may not bother you, but they drive her wild. If you say, you're losing it over dishes in the sink, it will not go well. She told you it bothers her, so you need to step up, file that issue away, and not do it. If you don't, you're ignoring her needs, which is a great way to do long-term damage to a relationship. Money is going to come up, and it's key to understand the other person's approach to money and figure out a way to handle it. Most of the time, honesty is absolutely crucial. I can think of 2 times when you would be wise to lie. Does this outfit make me look fat? Absolutely not, my dear. You look stunning in that. Any other words will be remembered forever, and you will regret the moment you did not say the phrase above. Like most humans, women are insecure about their looks. You have to do the right thing here. Is my girlfriend slash sister slash cousin slash mom slash coworker hot? Oh no, my darling, she's average at best. I have no idea how she will ever find a partner. My girlfriend hates it when I mention past relationships. Yours may be different. I have learned to phrase any story so as not to fail this test. I'm a work in progress. Story 6. I just assumed that women reached orgasm easily like men, because that's how it seemed in all the adult films I watched. My first serious girlfriend confessed after several months together. She had been faking her orgasms. But one day she came genuinely close and was surprised, so she admitted it to me. Together, we got to know her body better, and I became really good at making her climax. Ultimately, that relationship was unhealthy and she was difficult, but she helped me so much with future relationships. I've learned about timing and rhythm, switching things up and being patient, and also letting women know that you are in no hurry. Story 7. 1. How common it is for them to be stalked, harassed, and followed by strangers, and how much that becomes a factor in their life. How comparatively frequently they cry. I wasn't used to seeing people cry at all, as my family just doesn't do that. I think the only time I've seen my mom or dad cry was when my grandparents died. So seeing my girlfriend cry out of frustration, happiness, etc., was immensely confusing at first. How intense sex can be for them. Sure, it feels nice for me, but it's nowhere close to what women experience. Story 8. How often they do not feel safe. I remember asking my girlfriend why she always parked under the streetlights at night and why she always laced her keys through her fingers when walking back to her car. Story 9. The whole mind-reading expectation, man. Like, I did not get how crucial it is to pay attention to the little things, the nonverbal cues and all that. It is not just about what they say, but also what they do not. It took me a minute to catch on to that level of communication. Story 10. Just how real the anxiety of walking around alone or being alone at night is for many of them. It's kind of tragic. I've never even had to think about that before. Hell, I don't even lock my doors at home ever, but it was always on my girlfriend's mind. Story 11. Back when I was a teenager, I always found that no makeup looked better. So sometimes I would say things like, "Oh, you don't have to wear any more makeup," or "You look better without any makeup," thinking it was a compliment. It turns out it can be quite the opposite. I've learned from the girls I've dated that they want to be complimented on their choices and not what was given to them. So when I tell them that, it can be quite insulting to them, considering they've spent many hours preparing only to be told their effort was worthless. To put it into perspective, my girlfriend and I were about to go on a date somewhere very private. She gets her makeup on, and I tell her she looks great. The next day, we go out. She says, "Wait, let me put on some makeup." And then I say, "Oh, you don't have to wear any more makeup." In that instance, because she wanted to wear makeup to look pretty for me, I basically told her that she's not worth the effort. So we leave, do stuff together. Then I tell her, "You look better without makeup." I basically tell her, "You just spent hours yesterday just to look uglier." So basically, the lesson I've learned is whenever my girlfriend does something for me, I let her and thank her for it to show her that she's appreciated. Because the more I say, "Oh, you didn't have to do that for me," the more it signals to her that she's not worth the effort. Story 12. How messy they are. I think there tends to be this stereotype in society about men being slobs when left to their own devices, and I've found the exact opposite to be true. Every time I had male roommates, our apartments were pretty much squared away on a regular basis. Every time I've lived with a female significant other, it has been a case of me picking up after them daily and my stuff being squared away and their stuff generally existing in a state of chaos. Story 13. As someone raised almost exclusively by and around women, not much. However, the depth of their insecurity around normal basic human things in regard to dating, particularly in the early stages, was a bit of a surprise. Story 14. They just want to be heard. Do not try to fix their problems, do not invalidate their feelings. Just say, "I can see how you would feel that way, and if I were in the same position, I would be frustrated as well." 90% of arguments will be avoided if you do this. Story 15. They like to plan. They like to tell you about their plans. They get frustrated when you do not volunteer for their plan after she took the time to set it all up and explained it all for you to do the hard stuff for her. Story 16. Women's sex drives are the sum of two functions. A bell curve which is slow to get going, peaks, and then is slow to reduce, and a second function which resembles the male sex drive. Fast to get going, a sudden peak, and then a deep dip before slowly returning to baseline. By understanding women's sexual function, you can influence it in a way that deeply satisfies her. Story 17. That the things people say about how differently men and women think are actually true. I always thought I had a feminine mind, but we still fall into all the miscommunication stereotypes. Story 18. That to them, acting like a secret agent is normal behavior. Listening to my girlfriends talk sounds like thinking up ideas for a sitcom. Secret dating, roommates getting false information, work thinks this, but the reality is that. Endless duplicity. Story 19. How much they differ week to week depending on where they are in their cycle and how to deal with whatever concerns come up in each one accordingly. Story 20. What they say they want isn't always something they are able to handle. The same goes for men. Emotional vulnerability, sexual experiences, financial risks, and so on. We all talk big games. Story 21. Just how much work goes into dressing up nice for some girls. I dated one girl who could take up to 2 hours to get ready to go out. She did look sensational though. Story 22. Women often experience a lot of internal shame about things that are quite normal and common to everyone. A significant aspect of this is having a physical body. We love you and want you to know that you are not expected to have a magical nose that doesn't produce boogers. Story 23. How their taste in comedy makes literally zero sense. Show them a funny video? Nothing. Video of a cat doing something? Dies of laughter. Video of a dog doing the same? Nothing. Video of a funny face? Dies of laughter. Me doing the same funny face? Nothing. I still don't get it. We have been together for 8 years. Story 24. There's an alarmingly high number of white-collar offices that don't welcome them. The old boys clubs are still around and they're no fun for anyone to work at. Even if you're a man, you'll have no idea if you're actually doing your job well or if you're just there because they find you fun. Quit those kinds of jobs. Catches up to you eventually. Story 25. After getting false teeth in my late 30s, I am 43 now, and how aggravating they are to have in all day, constantly adjusting them so they're comfortable again because they move just a little bit, and how much a huge relief it is taking them out after a long day or just after the day and getting home from work. I now completely understand why women take their bra off after they get home and don't wear it anymore until the next day. Story 26. A man is obviously physically stronger, but a woman can and will mess with your mind. They are far better at manipulation, and arguing with one is futile. Story 27. How long it takes them to do things related to self-care. Men are 5 minutes in the shower, 5 minutes to shave, and 5 minutes to get dressed and out the door. Between the hair, the makeup, the nails, and outfit choices, it's probably an entire extra workday every week. Story 28. That they sometimes want to be with you as much as you with them. I don't know why when I was a kid I thought they were so independent that it was a big achievement to get one to spend time with you. Story 29. They rarely say what they mean, and they rarely hear what you say. It's like all communication runs through a filter like a bad fast food drive-up speaker. Story 30. This may seem obvious, but women are different as far as what they like sexually. For example, most of the women I have dated loved having their hair played with and their neck kissed. I also love that. The best path to the bedroom was via that method. I liked doing it and she liked it being done to her. My current girlfriend hates that, so I have no game. Story 31. If you do not understand how menstrual cycles affect a woman's hormones and thus behavior, you are a bad boyfriend. If you and your partner stop having regular sex and you try to explain to her how that affects a man's hormones and thus his behavior, you are a bad boyfriend. Story 32. I thought being open and honest about the intentions was the key to finding a good woman. Then I understood how things work, and opening up or honesty comes at a much later stage when you are already settled. Revealing yourself at first is very off-putting. Story 33. I didn't understand that emotions need resolution, and sometimes the best way to resolve her crazy behavior is to scratch her itch. She's then happy all of a sudden and cuddly. Story 34. That you can't listen to their words. Their words are misleading. You have to guess what they are feeling based loosely on their words. So, as a guy, you have to ignore what they say in terms of who is at fault or whatever. It's more about addressing a feeling than it is about addressing who is at fault.